for the other guy. And now that it's got to switch, I believe that Frank Wright has the ability to form an offense on the fly that can help Brissett be successful and help the team be successful. And it also, he's proven by doing that, he takes pressure off the quarterback to be perfect. He expects more from the other players. So, I mean, do we really have an idea what this offense is going to look like? Because Brissett was running the offense designed for another quarterback through the preseason.
Well, you just said it best. Frank Reich is pretty good, on the fly. We don't know what's going on. Of course, we have this waiting period, and it's against the Chargers. Who knows what's going to happen with all their issues that they have, too, with injuries and things like that. We just don't know. It would just really, really shock me if I still don't know. I'm just going to put it out there. I think the season is probably going to be just a season to watch, a season of what's going to happen. If it goes for the bad, it's going to be a season of what we can learn for. If it continues to grow, then you know what? I don't know where they found these, Chris Ballard and all that to build something upon with just Andrew Luck leaving and just everything switching gears. It's just going to be one team to watch, whether it's good or bad.
You know what just hit my mind, Jay? Honestly? It just hit my mind that this could be the team that is most compared from the rise of the Phoenix. They could literally surprise people because of who their head coach is and his experience, his age, and just his kind of the way his even-keeledness is. I don't think I know it sucks for him, but I think he has the ability to compartmentalize and move on knowing that there's nothing can be done and there's no need to waste energy or time on something that can't be changed. This team could be a team that looks like it's burned to the ground because of what happened and because of who their leader is, both in the front office and as a head coach. This could be a team that's known as the Phoenix team this year. That I'm not saying playoffs, but man, everybody's they're burning the Colts to the ground, Julie. And look, I know it's a prominent position, but we've all talked about it. You even said it. There's a better team in Indianapolis right now outside of the quarterback than there has been in the past, and it started last year.
Exactly. Right. And even last year, we have to go back to last season. Here we are in week 6 thinking this Colts team should have been a lot better. Andrew Luck is a wash. Why did he even come back? Are we going to take another quarterback? They were 1-5. And then here, all of a sudden, they just turned that team around. And if I'm not mistaken, they had to have a players streak. And if you would sit there and think back, who called that meeting? It was Jacoby Brissett. We just don't know what this young guy is capable of. Again, like I said, 2017, completely different than what 2019 is going to bring. I'm hoping that we are definitely in for a surprise, and everyone will say, hey, you know what? Jacoby Brissett's going to be the man in Indy. He's going to be the one to win. And like you said, it may not be playoffs now. That's okay. We're still building. We are building. We are a young team. And with, Chris Ballard going out and trading players and getting already 2020, conditional picks for the draft, you can tell he's already building. He's already building for next year, even though this season has not started yet.
Well, Jay said something earlier that caught my attention, and I wanted to bring it up anyways, was pressure off QB. And the way Jay mentioned earlier, and Peterson did that with Foles, was the read option. And you guys have two backs in Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines that can exploit that read option perfectly and help Brissett out along the way and lean on that because you guys have the offensive line, you have the running backs, Ebron can block, Jack Doyle can block. I mean, there's a lot of options there to take that pressure off Brissett to be able to lean on that running game. And Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines are very talented backs.
Oh, yes. I love Marlon Mack. I think he's going to be explosive. I think people just do not give him enough credit. And, he was one of the players that I really wanted. And even to this day right now, he is one of those players that I want to watch. And then talking about the tight end game, like you said, Eric Ebron. Yes, I know he had his faults in Detroit. I think he has a nice fit in Indy right now. He's going to have a drop every once in a while, and I know that's something that definitely needed to be addressed from last season. Hopefully this season it can go ahead and be addressed. Like you said, we also have Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle was out last year for, the ending of the season when he got injured. We have him back. And then, of course, we went today and we added, and may I add, too, that this is the Colts' 21st year in signing a undrafted free agent player, and it is tight end. Hale Henches, I believe is how you pronounce his name.
Yep, I know you're talking about.
Yep, he beat out Ross Travis, and I really thought Ross Travis was going to be phenomenal, and unfortunately he did not make the cut. So we don't know what we're seeing, and we don't know, this 53-man roster has to be something to believe in if they're going off and they're, not letting Ross Travis on the 53-man roster. Then they went off, with Matthias Farley. I love Matthias Farley. And they let him go as well. We don't know what we're in for, but it has to be something special. It really does.
Now, who do you expect to start on the outside across from T.Y. Hilton? Is it going to be Deon Cain, Paris Campbell, Devin Funchess?
I believe it was the second preseason game when I was out Indy versus Browns. I really thought Devin Funchess really showed off what he can do. He is going to be one of those players to look out for, but then we also had in the last preseason game Paris Campbell. He really showed what he can do. He's fast. Between those two, I really want to gear towards Paris Campbell, and not only because I love his name, Paris. Let's compare us with Hilton. Hey.
Yeah.
With that. But I think he's going to be very special. I think he's going to be one of those rookies that's just going to be an explosive rookie. Devin Funchess, I think, is just going to, be the same. But between those two, it's going to be a show. So let's see what both of them can do. Let's take that first game of the season. Let's see how they play out.
Paris was one of my favorite prospects coming out of college.
I was just going to say that, Dave. I was going to say Paris Campbell was somebody I was hoping the Packers would pick up. And I was going to actually ask this because Brandon, Dr. Super Bowl, who was just on, had mentioned that if you had T.Y. Hilton, that you should probably keep him even though, he who shall not be named is not there because Brissett only looks his way. But I instantly started to think about that's because nobody else could compare to the downfield threat, and Brissett likes to throw the ball downfield. Paris Campbell can absolutely turn it and burn it. And so I definitely think that – and he's a polished route runner. I know that everybody has to learn a few things because the coverage is better, okay? But
he was pro-ready.
Right. He is still pro-ready. He worked with some very prominent wide receivers, coming up into the draft process, and they all loved him, all said his work. So they could have a pretty good 1-2-3, kind of thing going on, especially if they start to change the offense compared to what we thought you were going to see with the previous quarterback there. I love Paris Campbell.
Correct. Paris Campbell, we're calling it. We're writing this one down. All three of us agree.
All right. I'm on board with it. So moving on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Was there anything else that surprised you or kind of irked your core over this roster when it came out?
Not really. Again, like I said, we were rebuilding. You were really hoping the people the players that were injured last year would be able to pick off where they left off, and it looks like they have. So I'm glad that they have that. I'm glad we're adding the young guns on there. I'm glad that we are getting that experienced players and not just those big names out there that are causing chaos. I'm pretty sure the roster, to me, is the roster that we're going to get. It's the roster that we're going to have to work with. Whether or not, so-and-so agrees with who should be, like you just said, with T.Y., is it Terrace? Is it Devin? Whatever the case may be, I think this is what the team is going to be. Of course, we still have a few days. We got to see what's going to happen. I mean, because right now Jacoby Brissett is the only quarterback on, the roster right now. We have to play it out in the next couple of days. We have to see who's out there, who is already out there. There's still moves to be made. I wouldn't put past it to see what else that, the shock and awe effect that I like to use that. But outside of, Andrew Luck just, abandoning me and everything else, I think nothing else could really be a shell shock, really.
I mean, if you're looking for a backup QB, Kyle Slaughter from Minnesota got cut today, and he looked really, really good in the preseason. And he's a really polished QB already. I would actually think he would be a possibly a good fit as a backup because of the fact that, I mean, he came to Minnesota's camp and started really dominating right behind Cousins. So, I mean, if he can do that and possibly go into Indy, especially with more of a QB-friendly coach with Reich, I think it might work. But it's just a name that I saw today that did really well in the preseason that maybe could help.
Yeah, there's a lot of names out there, especially Brian Hoyer. His name pops up. Why?
Yep.
Because he was on the Patriots. What more can you bring in a starting quarterback now from the Patriots and have your number 2 guy? And who knows? It might only be for a couple of weeks until, things clear up with Kelly, and hopefully, because he did really show off pretty good. I really like the kid. I'm glad that he's getting that second chance, and hopefully it'll just be a couple weeks, and then maybe we'll be having a different conversation after a couple weeks and see how all that plays out.
Well, I got to switch it to, huh?
So,
hello, Julie, did we leave you? Uh-oh.
Okay, we're having a little bit. We're going to call Julie right back. We'll be right back, folks.
I've been grinding so long, been trying this shit for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and some.
All right, we got her back. We can hear you good now, Julie.
okay, good.
Go ahead.
Switching to the defense, I want to jump right into the defense. The big addition to Justin Houston is going to be one of the premier edge rushers on that defense, and it's going to give someone in front of guys like Darius Leonard and Bobby Okigiri to get in there, so then that way they're not doing all the work. And Houston is going to bring a ton of vet leadership and professionalism to show these guys how it's supposed to be as a tenured NFL football player.
Right, yeah. I love the guy. Oh, I saw him in action, and he's going to be, oh, goodness. If I can sum up one word with him is watch out. And that's not even one word. I can't even talk about him.
I think the coaches for the Chiefs that let him go and the GM that let him go and Kansas City saw his last name and instantly read Houston. No, when Kansas City let him go, I think it motivated him because I believe he was only 30 years old. So he's still got a little tread left on the tires. And I think he might come out and actually have a good season this year.
Yeah, and, he came back and, he was in that 3-4 base defense 8 years of his career. And what is Indy running? They go back to the 4-3. He can go back. He's just a monster. He's going to be just a monster out there. And pair him up, with Darius Leonard and that defense, I think we're getting there. I'm not going to fully say that, hey, the Colts finally have that defense